here's everything I know about color grading for clean low light footage. You clicked on this video. This video has tons of value. I'm going to reward you real quick. I will not draw this like any longer than it needs to be. I'll teach you the ins and the outs about whatever you need to know, okay? I started shooting with a Nikon D3200 that had noise even though you had a ISO 200 and it was daylight. Okay, so I know what having a high noise in your images looks like, and it's not, this video will not just be noise reduction bullshit, okay? No, we're gonna go deep. I'm gonna show you like actual techniques that I've learned. These are proprietary things that I do. I have not learned them anywhere else. This is my experience, okay? Now, who am I? Why should you listen to me? I am Giuseppe, okay? I started off as a broke videographer, and that was many years ago. That was about 5 years ago, and like, while I was a videographer, I realized that my footage was lacking, and one way of getting it to a professional level was through color grading, okay? Because I was very lacking in color grading. So I started learning color grading, and that made me realize that I actually liked grading more than I liked shooting videos. So eventually, I wanted to become a colorist. Now, if you're very new to the industry, what a colorist does, a colorist is the guy that gets paid just to color grade what was shot. Okay, so when you listen to me, you know you're listening to a colorist, and I'll maybe have my show reel right here on the video somewhere, just so you can see like, oh shit, like this guy's actually good. So when you speak to a colorist, you're speaking to somebody who's very good at color grading. So you know that whatever I tell you in this full guide is for real. Like, I'm not just wasting your time. So you did a good thing. Thank you. Like, and this will be like a presentation. We might go on DaVinci later if I want to show you like the actual techniques. I think I'll make my point pretty straightforward. So I don't know if there's going to be a need, but if we do need to do that, you know that you're getting straight value. Okay, either way. So before we dive right in, know that inside this video, you might see some code. Okay, now you'll see 3 parts of that code. Just know that I have an online color grading school. If you find the code in the video and you comment it in the comments, you will get access to the online color grading school for free, like lifetime access. I'll never ask you to pay a cent, okay? So make sure to watch the video. I have hidden the 3 parts of the code. You've got the first one right here, and let's go. Full guide, color grading for clean low light footage. So my objective with this video is to teach you how to color grade things that have low amount of light in the shot, okay? And I want to make you proud of yourself. I want to make you feel safe when you got low light. That's my main objective. So let's go. So why do we hate low light videos? So this is the first question that we got to ask, because we got to define like, okay, we want to handle low light, but what is it about low light that we don't like? Okay, now I've told you I don't want to waste your time, so it's pretty counterintuitive. It's not actually low light itself. It's just loss of detail. Because understand this, like a lot of people actually like underexposed footage, okay, with less exposure. Like a lot of people do like that. So it's not that we dislike low light by itself. We dislike when we lose detail. And why do we dislike that? Like a lot of people will tell you, oh, it's just noisy footage. It's just noise, okay? I disagree with that. It's not noise that you dislike about your image. I mean, if it were noise, why would we spend so much time about perfecting, like, I don't know, grain techniques? How to implement grain that looks like film in your footage. If you have shot a couple of videos, if you're that new and you don't even know this, I'll just tell you straight. A lot of people in the industry, like myself included some time ago, we obsess about the film look. Okay, so you want to go vintage basically. And one of the biggest things you do to do that is just add film grain to your footage. Okay, a lot of people obsess over that. So my main argument here is, well, if what we disliked about low light was just noise, well, why would we worry about adding noise to perfectly fine images even when they don't need to? So my argument is that that's actually wrong. Like when I thought of the argument for this video, I was actually thinking, I was like, yeah, it's loss of detail. What is it? So we all shoot on digital cameras, right? Or you might be shooting on your phone. I'm shooting on a mirrorless right now. You might be shooting on your phone. You might be shooting on a cinema camera. I don't give a fuck, okay? But whatever you're shooting with, what you don't like, it's the loss of detail. Now, why does a camera lose detail? So that's the question we should ask once we have understood that this is the thing that we hate. So a camera, you might think, that loses detail in low light when you increase the ISO. How many of you have heard this? Raise your hand. I'll pretend that I can see you. So how many of you have actually heard this? Look, like ISO makes you lose detail and whatever. Actually, no. Like I'll tell you straight, like what does ISO even mean? Why do we use this term and whatever? So when you use ISO, first this term comes from the film age, okay? And there used to be like film stocks that you used on film cameras that had different ISOs, like ISO 50, 200, 500, whatever. And the more you increase your ISO on a film camera, so like vintage level shit, the more it becomes sensitive to light. But when it becomes more sensitive to light, it develops more grain and your footage gets noisier, basically. Now, it's the same thing. It's almost the same thing with cameras. Now, cameras do the same process, but digitally. Now, if I give you this definition, you might be like, oh, okay, Giuseppe, see, so I was right. So it's the ISO. No, actually, no. So you gotta know, like, a bunch of people may have told you about signal to noise ratio. Okay, if you have followed a bunch of videos, you have probably heard this, and I'm gonna give you like a better explanation that nobody has taught you yet. If you have not heard this, stick around right here, because I'm gonna tell you exactly what this is and why it's going to be revolutionary for your videos. So let's say that you have a good camera, okay? Let's say that you got what, a Sony A7 IV, okay? Now I'm gonna like give you some values. These values are complete bullshit, okay? So I don't know if these values are legit or not. I'm just gonna get in from the top of my head. So let's say that the Sony A7 IV, when you're out in a bright sunny day and you've got your ISO, let's say you're recording in log. I guess you know what log is, okay? You're recording in log. What is the base ISO? Is it 800? Okay, so ISO 800, okay. A7 IV, good camera, full frame, whatever, okay. Now, when it's bright and sunny and it's properly exposed, you've got 10 exposure and you've got 1 noise, okay. Now, when you have ISO 800 and 10 light and 1 noise, you can't really see the noise because the light, we have so much light that it's overpowering whatever noise we have at 800 ISO. 800 ISO, we've got 1 level, 1 unit of noise, okay? And since it's sunny, we've got 10 units of light. Now, what happens if suddenly it gets cloudy? Well, if it gets cloudy, now we don't have 10:1 anymore. Now we have 8:1. And it's still like properly exposed. Like it's a bit darker, but it's still, you can see things, you can do this, you can do that, okay. But now it's 8:1. So now it's not overpowering the 1 as much. It's still overpowering it. Like you can't see the noise. Like you don't see noise in this scenario, but it's not as strong as it was before. What happens if now you go in a dark room? Okay, like you go inside your house, you want to record a vlog, kind of like what I'm doing right here. Well, now it's not 8:1. Now it became 3:1. Like now the image got dark. It's really dark. Now, let's say that since it's 3:1, you realize, hey, this shit is actually 2 stops underexposed. So 2 stops underexposed means it's really dark, okay? And you're like, okay, it's too dark. Well, what can I do? Well, I can open up my lens. So if you got a fast lens, like a f1.8, okay, you can get it to 1.8, let's say. This is gonna let in more light. Or one of the things you can do is have a slower shutter speed, okay? So if you were 1/100th before, now you can go to 25, okay, to have a lot of light coming in. And you are basically, by doing this with the lens or the shutter, you're basically increasing the light that your camera is able to get to the sensor, okay? This is the light that's reaching the sensor, this 3. What happens if you already do these things and light still isn't enough, okay? Which is what you probably have. So I'm getting to the real deal. So when you can't increase how much light is coming in and you can't like open your windows and do whatever, what you need to do is raise your ISO. So what happens when you raise your ISO? Why does ISO ruin things, as people might have led you down to believe? So ISO ruins things because you are increasing how sensitive your camera is to everything, both noise and both signal. Signal is just the light that's coming in. So we're using a 3 as a signal right here. So when you raise ISO from 800 to, let's say, 1600, which is double what we had before, now you have double the sensitivity. Okay, so you have 6:2. Well, 6:2 is the same ratio as before, but since it's more sensitive, now we can see more of what's going on. Okay, so now we can start to see some noise. It's not a lot, but we can see some of it. Well, what if we want to increase it more? What if we want to get to a 10:1? Well, I mean, I'm not going to do the math to actually get it to a 10:1. Like, it would be weird, okay? I'd be too slow to do it. But we can get it to a 12:4. What happens if we instead have a 1:1 ratio? Well, when we get it to 12:4, it's not going to be 12:4, it's going to be 12:12. So half of what you're getting is light, half of what you're getting is noise. Now, when you get this amount of noise, when you have a signal to noise ratio of 1:1, let's say, or similar, well, you're going to start to lose detail. because the camera really does not know what is there. Like half of what you have is noise. So half of what you have does not even exist. It's just bullshit that your sensor is coming up with. And half of what you have is light. So that's why you lose detail, because your signal to noise ratio is so low. Now I'm going to give you like a secret tip. Okay, I discovered this. So if you shoot log, so before we move on, first gold nugget. Okay, before we move on. So you've got to know that cameras do not record like, do you remember like the analogy of the, what was it? It was 3-1, okay? You might be like, okay, Giuseppe, cool enough. So I'll just record ISO 800, then raise exposure in post, and it's going to be the same thing as a 6-2. No, I won't go into the technical details, but when you record like this, you will actually get worse results than if you record like this. Like this will be a true 6-2. This, even though it's still the same amount of signal to noise ratio, it will look more like a 2-1. This is because cameras compress their files. And when you have such a low, like an underexposed image, a lot of the shadows are going to get compressed. A lot of cameras compress their log, okay? They don't record raw, okay? You're not recording raw. So a lot of cameras actually compress the shadows, especially when shooting log. You're going to get worse results like this. So one thing that I learned, I remember I was younger, and when I was 17, I had a Sony Alpha 6400, and I remember I went to class, like, I'm Italian, okay? So in Italy, we have this weird high school where you don't choose classes like people do in the US, but you choose like the kind of school that you attend to. And in the school, you have like, it was kind of a film school, what I went to, okay? So I went to this film school, but I already like knew my shit because I watched a ton of YouTube tutorials. So I was already like wanting to be a videographer, okay? So I went to my teacher and we were discussing, like, I was top of class, and we were discussing like, how do we get less noise out of a A6400? So this is a OG Sony for the ones that know this setup, right? So how do we get less noise out of this? Well, we get less noise, and I came up to him. I was like, I did some research, and the reason we get a lot of noise is because we're used to shooting with bullshit cameras that when you raise ISO, you get scared because you see a lot of grain. But what we actually want to do is increase exposure through ISO even more, because this camera, but with how it shoots, with how it interprets the footage that it's shooting, it will actually give us a cleaner picture when we increase exposure. And that's the truth. Like, I still do this shit with my Sony cameras that I own to this day. So what you want to do, I mean, I saw this with Sony's, but I'm going to take a bet, and I'm going to say that every camera behaves just like this. You need to probably expose your images better. Like, understand, like, why does everybody tell you to overexpose log? Well, I'm going to bet my ass that, like, I'm going to bet that it's for the same fucking reason that I found out by doing research and experimenting with my own camera. Okay, so this is what you want to do. This is a trick that I learned, and it ended up, like, I was not afraid of shooting at ISO 3200, like, not 3200, sorry, 32,000 on a 6400 Sony. Like, I was not afraid of that bitch. So you want to do the same, and you want to shoot like in low light, like you own it. Okay, so this is my first tip. This I learned through my videography. Okay, but now I want to I want to walk you through my method for getting better looking footage out of what you already have. So let's say you already shot something. How do we get it to look better? So a lot of people might think that this video is going to be about, I don't know, noise reduction, and it plays a part. Okay, you can use noise reduction, but this is not what I want to talk about, because noise reduction, everybody can tell you about that. No, my real experience is this. We've got to increase. So what's the problem with low light? We have no detail. Okay. Well, we've got to increase the perception of detail, even though we can't increase detail. Okay, that's the objective. Now, how do we do that? There's a technique. We need to increase detail perception. I'll give you a good analogy. Okay, look at this. Look at this right here. Now, have you ever been in a car and the windshield is dirty? Okay, so this is the windshield, and it's got all kind of shit, right? It's still dirty, dusty, whatever. And you know, like when it's early morning and the sun hits it, or when it's late at night and you got a car in front of you, and like the car hits your windshield like with the light, and you know like how it lights up, like how the windshield itself gets kind of bright? Well, we've got to do that. So what happens when the windshield itself gets bright? So since it's dirty, it becomes kind of like this. Like, do you see how the sun is coming through the lens? And like, sorry, like we can't, like there's nothing more, like there's no information like more here, but it still looks brighter than say here. Like this has the same amount of light, like what this guy's wearing. It has the same brightness if we remove the sun glare. But actually by the sun coming in here, we create the illusion of more light being there. Do you understand that? So this is something that I learned when I worked with my bullshit level cameras. So I don't want to teach you to just shoot with light coming in towards the lens. No, this is not what you're going to learn. I'm going to teach you how to replicate this concept with grading. So what is happening? Like I want to deconstruct this. So what you see happening is we are not adding light on our subject, but we are raising the perception of it. Okay, we are raising the perception of detail. Actually, the detail is even more hidden. Like here, you can't see anything, but we don't care, because it looks like we have some more detail, blah, blah, blah. So it is not the objective of this shot to have like detail. I'm just getting this to kind of make you see like my analogy. So a real world example would be kind of this. I don't know why this image isn't working right now. Whatever, scrap this. So this is a great example. This is a day for night look. So this was shot in daylight. Okay, I graded this. This is for a music video that I shot some time ago. This is daylight. So we were like, the sun was up, like right here. Okay, but in camera, it was very underexposed. Okay, I shot it for daylight, for like a day for night look. Okay, and then I converted it in post. I graded this. Now, do you see how we have very low detail, but at the same time, some of the shadows are lifted. Like some of the black point is lifted. It's not all proper black. Now, this is exactly what I'm going to teach you to achieve. So when the shot is dark, you want to raise your black, like you want it to look exactly like this. This is going to give you the increased perception that you got detail right here. Okay, this is what you want to do. Okay, I'm going to give you some more examples. So you've got a clear, like this is as clear as day, man. Like we literally have light coming in. So you literally, like, you can literally see how this essentially, like, do you see that this has no detail? Here we have no detail. Here, no detail. We have no detail here. We don't see like what's right here. We had some haze in the room, like some smoke with the smoke machine. But that's the reason why you can see the light coming in like this. But do you see how, anyways, like we have no detail, but it looks well lit. Like it looks like there's some light, but actually like there's no light. And the grading also enhances that. Like I graded this, like this is from one of my projects, and still there's no light right there. Same thing here. So here there's not like, there's no light coming in like this. So we don't have this strong of an effect. But look at my shadows. Like my shadows are not always pure black. Like my black point, like you see, like the image is dark. Okay, so we don't have a lot of detail. Okay, I'll give you that. But what you do is essentially you have your shadows down, but then like this is the black point, like this is the lowest you want to go. You raise everything, okay? If this raises your shadows too much and now you start to see too much detail and like your image isn't dark anymore, so if you want to keep it dark, what you do is essentially shadow shaping, which is a technique that I teach in my online color grading school. Top link in the description. Shadow shaping, you just need to, you have your shadows stay here, black stay here, and the black basically does this. It compresses the shadows, like it surpasses the shadow themselves. And you actually lose detail when you do this, but you increase the perception of detail itself. It's a very clean looking technique, something that I do often. This is an exaggerated example. So this is from, like, this is a very old picture that I graded like 4 years ago, maybe. I took it with my Sony Alpha 6400. And as you can see, we have no detail whatsoever in the sky. Same thing here. Like on the car right here, we can't see shit. Like, look at this. There's nothing, right? But still, like, it doesn't look crushed. It doesn't look that dark. Like, if we take this picture, I'm not joking. Like, if we take this picture and we crush it, it's going to look way darker than what it is, okay? Like, it's not, I'm using the wrong terms. It's not that it will look darker. It's that it'll feel darker. Okay, that's what we're doing, because we can't really recover that much detail. Like, look at this example in the middle. This is more subtle, okay? Especially because you already had that. Like, this is not crushed. But in grading, you could go like, oh, the black needs to be black. Boom, you crush it. You give it like, this becomes now proper black. No, don't do that. Like, we could take these pants, for example. Now, they are not proper black, I did not want them to be proper black, and they weren't proper black anyways, but I did not want them to become proper black. And the reason we don't want that is because, well, I wanted to preserve the illusion of detail. Like I wanted this to be lit differently than what it was. Like I wanted more detail than what we have. So one way you do that is with this technique. And I found out it works beautifully on bullshit cameras that record with a lot of noise. Because think about it, where do you see noise? I'm gonna go deep. Like where is noise? Well, you see noise in your shadows. That's where you see noise. Like where, like, do you remember like the signal to noise ratio? Like where is this more apparent? Well, it's not like you have like a signal to noise ratio of 3:1 to my face, on my face, and then it's the same on my window. No, like on the window, like the window is still fucking 10. So it's 10:1 over there, and maybe it's 1:1 over here because I'm darker right now because there's no light on my face, right? So where is it more apparent that there's noise? In the shadows. So what do? You essentially increase the black point, you compress the shadows a little bit, and I'm going to show you on DaVinci real quick so that you can understand, but you increase the black point so that you can basically have softer blacks, and this in turn gives you a better perception of detail. Like it makes it feel like it's not actually as dark. Okay, I'm going to show you in DaVinci. Okay, so let's get a really dark shot. I should have one over here. Let me look for that. This one will be good. All right, new version. So what does the original look like after we remove all the bullshit that I have going on? So this is the original shot. This is log, okay? Now you see that we have like not a lot of detail. Like look at my scope, okay? If you're really new, just know that this is fucking dark, okay? Now, you don't need to, like you can follow this through on Premiere as well. Just stick with me, like learn the concept, see what I do. You can replicate this in almost any software, okay? It's more about like the guidelines, okay? So even when it's log, you see that this is still like, this is pretty underexposed because this is exposed for the light that we have right here. Okay, like do you see how this looks proper? Like if I enable like my qualifier, like do you see how this reaches 896? This is well exposed, let's say, but this, like this is not lit well. They're not lit well. Like see how dark they are. They're under 256, way too dark for skin tone. So when we convert it, oof, it gets even darker. Now what do we do? So this was a Sony a7 IV. So I did not do this on purpose. This is not a video that I shot. I just color graded this video. This is a music video. See how we have no noise right here? Like, do you see how what I'm telling you is the truth? Like, no noise right here. I'm not applying any noise reduction. Like, look, we just converted this. No noise reduction. Like, this is log, no noise. Okay, go look at this. Like, see how over here, where we were around 256, like you see how noise starts to increase. The more, like the darker we go, look at here. Can you see that? I'm really zooming in so that you can see this. Like see right here, we're on the bottom. Okay, ISO is the same throughout the whole shot, motherfucker. So why do we have less noise here and more here? Because what I'm telling you is exactly the truth. Okay, so what you want to do is this. All right, so we have a problem right here. We want to increase detail over here where it's needed, and we want to preserve this. How do you do that? So let's say that we have a gray going on. Okay, I'll expose this properly, and we have this. Okay, look at this. And now we have a bunch of noise right here. This is a big problem. So what I would do is make a new node, and I need to handle my contrast. What do you do? I'm going to show you a technique. I grab my shadows. There's different methods to do this. I'm going to do it simply, okay, so that everybody can follow. So I'm going to grab my lift. If you're in Premiere, switch to DaVinci. But if you're in Premiere anyways, you want to grab your shadows. You want to get them to go down so that we hide some of that noise. Because if we bring this up, we're going to uncover all the bullshit that we have going on. So you can do that if you don't have that much noise. But if you have a lot of noise like I do, like maybe noise reduction can get rid of this. But if it can, let's just say that it can't. Okay, so we just got to deal with this shit. If it can't, you go down, okay, and you go on your log wheels, and you lift this up. What is this doing? Or if you don't want to do this, like you actually go in your curves and you do this. This is even simpler. When you do this, as you see, we raise the black point. Do you see how the image starts to get kind of faded, like the windshield example that I gave you? And now we just counteract this with more crushed shadows. I'll show you how it looks like. Keep in mind, I'm not using my grading screen right now, so I might do some bullshit. Like, it might look bad, really bad on non-grading, like on proper screens. So apologies for that. So this is not actually working as I want it to. In fact, yeah, I wouldn't do like that. Like I wouldn't do it like that. I would actually like do something like this. And then you raise this, but for the sake of simplicity and speed, I'm gonna do it with my color wheels. So you wanna go lift down, then you come up on your log wheels, shadow up. You decrease range so that you grab only your black point, and you go like this. Soft right here, lift down, log wheel up. This is what you do. And when you do this, what you're essentially doing is you're decreasing how bright your shadows are, and you need to do that. Okay, you need to give something in order to get something. So you decrease how bright your shadows are, but you increase your black point. And when you do that, you're able to hide detail. See how this is hidden? Like what you would do is node after, and you just raise this. So you pull somewhere and you push somewhere else. Okay, so that's what you do, and that's what I usually do for clean looking footage. So what you want to do is get basically the things that are clipping, you can get them to clip. Just get them to be like not clip, not absolutely black, because when they're black, it's gonna give you like that that thing of lost detail, right? So you don't want that. You want the things that are clipping to be faded. Kind of like this. This is a very bad example. I'm doing a very bad job of demonstrating my point to you. Yeah, I'll just stick to whatever I had going on here, which I actually graded properly on a good screen with a proper workflow. This is essentially what you want to get to. Okay, this is what you need to do in order to hide detail, and you want to pair that with whatever noise reduction software you have going on. Okay, I hope this video helped you. See you in the next one. Go check out my online color grading school if you actually want to learn color grading. It's real cheap. It's $50 a month, and I'll see you inside. I've got some very, very, very good techniques, not just theory. And whatever, God bless you. So I thought I wanted to end the video there, but I said, why not give you some more of that juicy stuff that I as a colorist know about? So here we go. So my last tips will be these two: why blue equals night, and white grain is better than noise, and how you can use that to your advantage. So first things first, we perceive night as blue, but night isn't actually blue. So this is wrong, okay? What you can do with this information is make your night shots become more blue, and I'm going to walk you through how to do that. But just know that real night isn't blue. Like if you really expose properly night shots, like what the moonlight actually is, you'll find that it's very similar to sunlight. Okay, because it's in fact reflecting the same light that comes from the sun. So actually the colors of the night are the same colors of the day, but since by the way, like how your eyes work makes you perceive them differently, because when you have low light, your own eyes, like our eyes as humans, they go into low light mode, and when they're in low light mode, they become way more sensitive to blue light in a sense, and that means that we see everything as blue. And what that means is that we actually we don't have that much light anymore, so we don't see things as saturated. Like if you look at the shot, everything looks blue, but you don't see like individual colors, like the green of the trees behind them. You don't see that. You don't see the orange of his skin. Like you don't see all that. Okay, and this of course is fake. But my point is that this is what you perceive night to be like, and that's why we build it the same way when we grade. Okay, so to have believable low light footage, you can have it a little more desaturated, and you can have it a little more blue than what it would be. Okay, because our eyes work this way. So this would be a case of when it's not really blue, but since we perceive it to be blue, now you can go and make your footage look more blue. Okay, I'm not saying make it look like this 100% of the time. Okay, if you're shooting, let's say, in your town and there's street lamps, okay, it does not need to look like this. It would not be normal for it to look like this. I'm just saying, when you have a really extreme low light situation, apply this technique that I'm talking to you about in tandem with the other stuff that I talked about and that I'm going to talk about. So that's what I wanted to say about this. So even though things are technically neutral in the night shots, you want them to look blue because they match our faulty perception, basically. Then, why is grain perceived as better and than noise, and how can we use that to our advantage? So what I want you to know is this. So we have an acquired taste towards grain, because since we were children, we've been watching movies, and most movies are shot on film. What happens? What's happening is that we have acquired a taste for grain, and grain by itself has a more pleasant pattern, like noise pattern, than digital noise. So like objectively, we like it more, but also you have the double plus because we like it more, and also we have an acquired taste. Okay, so we like grain more than noise. Now, what you can do is this. So if you apply noise reduction to your footage after the techniques that I've told you about, you'll see that still you might have soft looking footage. Okay, now what you can do is mask the softness that you end up with some grain, because listen, when you have no detail, okay, when you have let's say when you have something that looks like this, okay, when you have no detail here, if you add a grain here, grain can give off the illusion that maybe some detail was here to begin with, in the sense that you don't know what's behind grain. So you're not certain that this is just a black or blue blob of night sky. Do you get what I'm saying? Also, when you add grain, like grain, what is grain? Like little tiny points that vary like in luma and chroma, so in brightness and saturation, right? Usually grain, you're gonna find that grain is sharper than your footage. So when you add grain, even though you're not adding detail, like do you see like these little spots in the puddle? Okay, grain is kind of like that. It's really sharp in a sense. When you add grain on top of your footage, it gives off the illusion that your footage is actually sharper than what it is. So you can use the blue light to, you know, mimic what we perceive with our own eyes, even though it does not look blue, okay? And you can use grain to give off the illusion after you've run it through your noise reduction, after you've run your footage through noise reduction. You can use grain to make up for the heavy loss of detail. This happens if your camera is pretty trash, or if you applied a lot of noise reduction, if the shot was really underexposed. So these are the 4 pointers that you need to remember. Shoot high ISO, don't clip your highlights, okay? This does not mean clip your highlights. Like try to get as much detail as possible, and do that with the most high amount of exposure that you can get. It's better to bring down in exposure rather than bring up, okay? Remember that. 2, do shadow shaping. That's the technique that I showed you on Resolve. And 3, desaturate, then add blue to get that feeling of night. 4, use noise reduction. I want you to use a master noise reduction. Go watch some of my other videos because I've got like fuck ton of guides. I have like tons of value on this channel, free value that you can go watch right now. If you're really interested in series, just go watch my, go check out my online color grading school. And if needed, use grain. I do this a lot. This saved my ass a lot of times when I needed to, you know, to get my low light footage looking, to get it looking better, basically. Grain I really mastered the art of faking it until you make it. Okay? I hope you got some value from this full guide. God bless you.